All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning into another video. I thought I'd bring you guys along for the ride on this next set. I told you guys the videos are going to try to start coming out as quickly as I can. It's out here, it's a beautiful day, it's Sunday, so I figured I'd tackle this panhard bar mount floor. It's not a mount, sorry. And show you guys how it goes in. Super simple and really nothing to it. You kind of just line it up, get it in place. It's almost not even really worth like making a video for it, to be completely honest. But you know, nonetheless, it's on the build. I need to get it on the channel for you guys to view and see every step of the way that we go. As you guys know from the last video, I got the floor trunk delete panel in place. It's super nice, super convenient as far as like gaining extra space into here. I mean, it's awesome. I mean, for you guys that are on the fence about doing it, I wouldn't be on the fence at all. But like I said, today's objective is to get that panhard floor plate in place, because F-bodies are known for like the panhard bar as the suspension is traveling to come up and hit the bottom of the floor, potentially hindering the entire suspension travel. So one of the things a lot of people do is put that panel in place because it gains you a lot of clearance underneath there. If you end up, you know, converting it to like say a 4-link or something setup, then it's not even really needed because you get rid of the panhard bar. But in this case, this car is going to stay this way, so I need to get that panel put in place, and I figured I'd bring you guys along for the ride, so that way you guys can see it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to crawl in there. Unfortunately, I didn't do this before the cage, so I'm kind of limited on my space there, but I'm going to get it put in place. I'm going to have a Sharpie, I'm going to mark it, and then once it's in place and marked, I'll pull it back off. We'll get the cutting wheel out, cut it up, and then I'll put it back in place. And then I've got a little mini-me over here. He's out racing on his tractor, but get it welded into place so that way you guys can see the way that thing goes. I pulled the Kirkies out. They're sitting over here to the side, but that's just a better view of what it looks like, you know, in the area where it's going to be installed. So it's really almost extremely straightforward, guys. Like you don't even have to, I almost don't even have to do a video on this thing, because basically you just get it in place. These panels come from Rock Solid Motorsports, and basically you get them laid in place like that where they fit the best all the way around. And then once you have it fit in place, just take you a Sharpie and draw out where it's going to be lined up, right? And then once it's drawn out with a Sharpie, you can move that out of the way, come in here with your cutoff wheel and give yourself probably about, you know, a 1/16 of an inch, or maybe even if you want to give a little more, give yourself like an 1/8 of an inch, and cut inside your black line, right? And then that way it gives you some meat, so when you go to put this panel back in place, you've got somewhere to weld. And that's pretty much it. Like, I'm not gonna weld the whole thing up all the way around. I'm gonna do the corners, maybe the sides, and this right here. Same thing on the other side, and then I'm gonna hit it with that seam sealer stuff, and that's gonna be a wrap. And I'll get some paint on it, it'd be a done deal. But nonetheless, it's on the build. I wanted to make sure you guys get a view of it, see how it's done. Before you know it, man, I'm gonna have so much Rock Solid Motorsports stuff in this car, it's gonna be insane. You know, it is what it is. So first things first, let me get this thing in. I'm gonna get it lined out. I'll show you guys how I got it lined, and I'll get the panel moved out of the way so you guys can see kind of an area where you're gonna have to cut, and then that's it. We'll move the panel, we'll get to cutting. Okay, guys, there you go. So as you can see, pretty much got this thing lined out. It's kind of faint, but you can see this is the area here. It comes up, my marker, and then cuts over. So as you can see on mine, someone's already you know, got underneath there with a hammer and beat it outwards to make some clearance for it. I mean, I think that's just not the proper way to do it. So therefore I'm gonna put this plate in place. So that's why it's pretty much gonna be a done deal once it's all in. I won't ever have to worry about, you know, doing any of that kind of stuff. So that's the same thing with this the whole section with the mini tubs. Like, a lot of guys will try to get in here and beat all of this in with like a hammer. Like I don't want to do that. Like, it's kind of like half-assing your work, right? Like, why wouldn't you just do it the proper way the first time, and you don't ever have to worry about, man, is my tires gonna clear, or is it gonna cut the tire, or whatever. Like, I know that as soon as I mini tub this thing and I go stick a 12-wide wheel in it with like a 275 or 295, like, I ain't gonna worry about it touching nothing. So that's probably gonna be in the future, like I said. So But today's video is just to get this panel in place. Like I said, it's super simple, guys. There's really nothing to it. Once you get it in the box, which is the way it is, it's already bent with the brake and stuff. You put it in place, line it out with your Sharpie, give yourself some meat to weld to, cut inside of that line that you have marked, and then that's it. I mean, you're gonna clean the area up where you're gonna weld, and then scrape the paint off with your flapper wheel, stick this back in place, and send some tacks to it. And like I said, I'm only gonna tack it in like these corners here, the bottom, or well, rather, yeah, the bottom. This would be the top, and then along the sides, a couple places on this side and that side, and that's it. Like, I'm not gonna weld the whole thing up. There's no need. And then once I get it all tacked in place, I'll come back through like I did with the seam sealer stuff that I have, and I'll seam seal it up, and that'll be nice. That's it. That's a wrap. It don't need to be anything further than that. Okay, in the meantime here, before I get finished up with that plate deal, I was gonna show you guys exactly what I was talking about with some stuff coming in, rolling in finally. I got 2 of the 50mm Wastegates from VS Racing. There you go. They are their newer style that could be used with CO2 boost control, which is what we're going to be using on the car through the Holly. You got 2 ports here, and you've got 2 ports here, and you got one on top for all your sensors and connecting. Pretty straightforward, really nothing crazy there. They're actually pretty nice units for the money. I mean, some people want to hate on some of the stuff, but really at the end of the day, all this does is divert the exhaust gases to a different location other than to the turbo. I mean, I don't really know how else to say that any easier. Some guys get caught up on the fact of like, oh, it's not a precision gate, or it's not a tile or something like yeah, I can't really talk too much shit, because I mean, I spent the money and got the Pro Charger wastegate, blow off valve, bypass valve, however you want to call it. But the wastegates, I didn't want to spend $500 a piece on a gate when these have exceptionally good reviews. And if they go bad in a couple years or whatever, because I mean, people have gotten them to last a lot longer than that. Hell, I'll just go buy a couple more and slap them on. They're 50mm, so I'll be able to hopefully control this thing down quite a bit. I think both of the springs that are in it are supposed to crack at like 13 PSI. So I'm actually gonna bust those open, obviously before they're all done and on the car. But I wanna have the car set on like a little bit lower on the gate before we even turn the boost controller on, for when we get ready to tune it and all that stuff. I'm gonna put it on like 6 pounds or something small, But anyway, I just wanted to kind of show you guys a little teaser. We got some stuff coming in for it. New wheel bearings for the axles, which I don't know if I spoke with you guys yet on that. As you can see, the axles are pulled out. And I'll let you guys know exactly what I'm talking about here. So you can see the axles are pulled out. They're sitting here on the ground. And the reason why they're pulled out is because I have a set of 5/8 Mosier screw-in style axle studs, the big boys, and so I pulled the axles out, took them down to the local machine shop, and the kid on the press drilled them out to a .625, which is exactly 5/8, and ruined my axles for the most part. So now I can no longer take my studs and put them in place, because now they just sit right in the hole. So as you guys can see here, like this is one of them, and this is the side that would go into the axle flange. Well, it just slips right in that hole. It's supposed to screw into that hole with it being tapped, and then a nut goes on the backside. That's what holds it into the axle flange. But luckily, the dude hooked me up pretty sweet there, and didn't do it correctly. So now I've got a set of axles there that I can't. I could re-drill them, send them back to Mosier, and re-drill them to another bolt pattern, which obviously I would just go back with the same bolt pattern. But the problem is these axles have a access cut out in them here. So I didn't want to take the chance of re-drilling right in the center of that and it not, I mean, your minimum thickness there. So basically they're not ruined, but I'm gonna put in a different style of Mosier studs that are a knurl in, that I'm gonna have to drill these out a little bit bigger for them to accept. They'll still be 1/2 inch studs that are like 3 inch long, And I mean, they're, you know, they're strong enough to where like someone could be able to put them on, you know, like something less than like 1,500 horsepower, and they'll be all day long just fine. It's just not something that I'm willing to do, because I was already wanting to step up to the 5/8 studs, which I've already got them. So if I went backwards to another stud that's not 5/8, then I really didn't accomplish nothing. So I said, screw it. I'm gonna just fork out the money. I already called Mosier. I'm just gonna get a brand new set of axles. They're already drilled and tapped to accept these studs, and so it's unfortunate part about it is now I've got to wait to get those in. So it is what it is. They're only like 400 bucks. So at the end of the day, at least I'll have an extra set of you know, axles if it came down to it, just to roll around on or something like that. So, but I'm probably gonna stick those up for sale. Someone that's got like, say, an all motor Fbody or something like that, or something that's got a little small shot on it, couple hundred horsepower shot, and they got a 9-inch with those 35. Hey, yo, these axles are just fine. There's nothing wrong with them. It's just that they're not gonna accept my 5/8 studs, and so it is what it is. I'll get the new axles in, and then what I'm thinking about doing, which some of you guys have already hit me up and asked me what, I'm gonna run the car initially on the entire setup that you guys have seen. This 9-inch, like these shocks, springs, like those wheels. But the long story short is like, I want to get rid of all that stuff. And so I'm gonna be potentially trying to put all that stuff up for sale. And I'm talking everything. I'm talking about control arms, panhard bar, the entire rear end, the shocks, the springs, the wheels, the tires, the whole thing. Like, unbolt it from the car and it can go into another Fbody and you guys can have fun with it. So if you are interested, let me know. I can crunch some numbers and try to get you guys the numbers. I'm trying to figure out what I should ask for it. It's not gonna be cheap, but I mean, it's also not gonna be, you know, $10,000 either. So it's just that I want to be able to go to a 9-inch that's 3 inches narrower on each side. Like I told you, mini tub the car, and I'm gonna move to a set of 15 by 12 inch wide wheels. And so basically, you know, inboard coilovers, all of that. So basically all of this would either, like, I could keep it all, but I'd have to sell my wheels. But I mean, like everything would have to be changed. I have to pull the rear end out, have someone narrow it, you know. I just don't want to have to go through all that. So what I would do is I'd just go buy a rear end that's already narrowed, you know, brand new from, say, Mosier or something like that, and then I would just bolt it in the car and haul ass. So if you are interested, hit me up. I mean, I might let it go before the car's running, but if not, it's not a big deal. I can just let it, you know, keep going the way it is. And there you have it, folks. Pretty much just thinking about like leaving it like this, you know, that way I could always just get in here and just pop that thing out and be nice and easy. No, I'm just kidding. So that's it, guys. It's cut out. As you can see, this side's down a little bit further because of the way the plate is made, but it dips down pretty low, obviously, for this side because it's for the panhard bar. But went back and kind of cleaned up the edges here, and then kind of set it down in place. So once it's set down in place, I'm gonna wipe it up with some, you know, some cleaner right here, so those surfaces are nice and clean. Same thing on the panel. I'll bust out the old MIG welder there, and I think I'm gonna fire it up on the first time. But essentially, that's all you're doing, guys, is just you're trying to gain yourself some clearance with this panel delete. Try to crawl my way back up out of this cage. So nice and easy, straightforward. All you do is gaining some clearance and maybe a pound or two, because the material that I pulled out from the factory floor is obviously slightly heavier than this pan here, this delete plate. Not a delete plate either. It's just a plate. I don't even know what to call it exactly. It's just a clearance section, you know. But anyway, it's pretty straightforward, guys. It's nothing to it. If you got any questions, just make sure you hit down that comment below. I'll try to answer you guys' questions. And really, that's it. Thanks for tuning into another video, and be looking out for that next one. If you haven't already, just hit that subscribe for me and hit that like, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Appreciate it.